Hello and welcome. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran and you're watching Newsnight on DD India and DD News, your primetime destination for news and bespoke analysis. It's good to have you again with us. On the show tonight, Dynasty First versus Nation First. A Twitter spat between Rahul Gandhi and the BJP betrays the Congress party's desperation. Also on the show, India begins human trial of a vaccine for COVID-19 and the latest on the floods ravaging parts of India. Plus, news and updates from around the world. All that and much more coming up over the next 60 minutes. But first, as always, the headlines. IBM CEO Arvind Krishna briefs Prime Minister Narendra Modi about the company's investment plans in India. They discuss data security, cyber attacks, privacy concerns and the health benefits of yoga. BJP President JP Nadda lashes out at Rahul Gandhi, says the allegations leveled by him are a brazen attempt to politicize the foreign and defense policies. The All India Institute of Medical Sciences in New Delhi begins human trials of an indigenously developed COVID-19 vaccine called Covaxin. More than 2,000 people from Delhi and adjoining areas offer to join the trials. The Rajasthan High Court adjourns hearing on the Speaker's notice to Sachin Pilot and 18 other MLAs to Tuesday. Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot claims support of 109 MLAs. The BJP says it is needlessly being drawn into the matter. More than 14 million COVID-19 cases reported globally. The death toll crosses 600,000. Nigeria's foreign minister tests positive for the coronavirus. And the ICC Men's T20 World Cup in Australia postponed due to coronavirus. The next Men's T20 World Cup now scheduled in October-November 2021. With another in 2022. All right, first up, a report on Prime Minister Modi's interaction on Monday with IBM CEO Arvind Krishna via a video conference. The Prime Minister congratulated Krishna on becoming the global head of IBM. Prime Minister Modi spoke about IBM's strong connect with India and its huge presence in the country, with over 1 lakh people working across 20 cities. Now, talking about the impact of COVID-19 on business culture, Prime Minister Modi appreciated the role played by IBM and India's Central Board of Secondary Education, or CBSE, for the launch of an artificial intelligence curriculum in 200 schools. He said the government was working towards introducing students to concepts such as AI and machine learning at an early age. The Prime Minister said this was a great time to invest in India. He said the country was welcoming and supportive of investments in the technology sector. While the world was witnessing a slowdown, FDI inflow into India was increasing. For his part, IBM CEO Arvind Krishna briefed the Prime Minister about the company's investment plans in India. He expressed confidence in the vision of an Atmanirbhar Bharat, or self-reliant India. And now to our cover story, a Twitter spat between Rahul Gandhi of the Congress party and BJP President JP Nadda. Barely a few hours after Rahul Gandhi tweeted a video, JP Nadda lashed out at him on Twitter. This was followed by a press conference by BJP spokesperson Sudhanshu Trivedi. Take a look at the net report that delves into the verbal duel between the two parties.
BJP National President JP Nadda has hit out at former Congress President Rahul Gandhi. Training his guns on Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, Nadda said on Monday his allegations against the union government are weak on facts and strong on mudslinging. In a series of tweets, Nadda said the former Congress president prefers to believe the Chinese army instead of believing India's armed forces. Being weak on facts and strong on mudslinging. Attempts to politicize defense and foreign policy matters shows one dynasty's desperation to wash their past sins of 1962 and weaken India. BJP held a press conference on Rahul Gandhi issue and in an aggressive manner questioned Rahul Gandhi.
उनका बयान आधारहीन, तर्कहीन, तथ्यहीन और बुद्धिहीन है। उन्होंने उसमें बड़ा रणनीतिक परिप्रेक्ष्य यानी स्ट्रेटेजिक बैकग्राउंड देने का प्रयास किया है चाइना के संदर्भ में कि ग्वादर है उस डिजाइन का हिस्सा, वन बेल्ट वन रोड है। अब क्या बताया जाए, ये वन बेल्ट वन रोड कहां से गुजरता है? पाक अधिकृत कश्मीर से। अब क्या याद दिलाया जाए वो कहां से शुरुआत है? ग्वादर कहां है? बलूचिस्तान में। क्या याद दिलाया जाए कि ये कहां से समस्या कहां पहुंची थी? मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा कि डिजाइन क्या है, राहुल गांधी जी को समझते समझते 4 पीढ़ी लग गई।
BJP president in his tweet slammed Rahul Gandhi and said, "Since the 1950s, China has made strategic investments in one dynasty that has given them rich dividends. Remember 1962 giving away of UNSC seat, losing lot of land to China in the UPA years, MOU signed with much fanfare in 2008, funds to RGF and more." JP Nadda further said that for years, one dynasty has been trying to destroy PM Narendra Modi. Sadly for them, PM Modi's connect with 130 crore Indians is deep-rooted. He lives and works for them. Those who want to destroy him will end up only further destroying their own party. BJP spokesperson Sudhanshu Trivedi also questioned the opposition and said that from 1962 war to national issues, cooperation from opposition has been constructive, which has been praised by the then PM Jawaharlal Nehru. But in the present context, opposition has been playing a devious role as alleged by BJP.
किसी भी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के समय विपक्ष का व्यवहार कैसा होना चाहिए, चाहे 1971 का युद्ध हो, 65 का युद्ध हो या 62 का युद्ध हो, तब भारतीय जनता पार्टी नहीं थी, भारतीय जनसंघ के रूप में जिस प्रकार का सहयोग और समर्थन दिया था उसकी नेहरू जी ने भूरी भूरी प्रशंसा की थी। सिर्फ जनसंघ ही नहीं, राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ तक की प्रशंसा की थी। यह ऑन रिकॉर्ड है। यह हमारा चरित्र था और आपका वह चरित्र है जो आज दिखाई पड़ रहा है।
In another tweet, JP Nadda said, "In recent years, be it Doklam or present, Rahul Gandhi ji prefers briefings from the Chinese instead of believing India's armed forces. Why does one dynasty want a weak India and a strong China? Many leaders in Congress also disapprove of one's dynasty's shenanigans." It is pertinent to note in the past few days, JP Nadda has been aggressive on Rahul Gandhi and in series of tweets has been questioning the deeds of Rahul Gandhi and his followers. Rajesh Raj's report, DD India.
All right, let me recap what has happened in the last 4 days between Rahul Gandhi and the BJP. Now, let's go back to Friday, 17 July at about exactly 11:19 in the morning. Rahul Gandhi puts out a video. He tweets a video. The video is titled China Border Conflict. Now, in that, Rahul Gandhi asks many questions, including why China chose this moment in time for a military face-off with India in Ladakh. Now, he also goes on to tweet, in that same tweet, that since 2014, the PM's constant blunders and indiscretions have fundamentally weakened India and left us vulnerable. Empty words don't suffice in the world of geopolitics, unquote. So this was 17 July. Let's go across to the same day in the evening at 5:26 p.m. Foreign Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar replies with a series of tweets, not one, not two, not three, but 10 tweets in all. The first tweet, he says, Rahul Gandhi has questions on foreign policy. Here are some answers. Our major partnerships are stronger and international standing higher. Witness regular summits and informal meetings with the US, Russia, Europe and Japan. India engages China on more equal terms politically, ask the analysts. Right, now to the second tweet put out by the minister. He says, we speak our mind more openly now on CPEC, on BRI, on South China Sea, on UN-sanctioned terrorists, etc. Ask the media. Coming up is the third tweet. He says, address the border infrastructure imbalance legacy, compare 2014-2020 with 2008-2014, budget up by 280%, road building by 32%, bridges by 99%, and tunnels by 6 times, ask our Javans. Right, coming up is the fourth tweet. Some facts on our neighborhood. The Hambantota Port Agreement between Sri Lanka and China was concluded in 2008. Ask those who dealt with it. Coming up is the fifth tweet. He says, difficult ties with Maldives after India watched President Nasheed being toppled in 2012 now stand transformed, ask our businesses. Coming up is the sixth tweet. A settled land boundary 2015 with Bangladesh opens paths to more development and transit, and terrorists no longer find safe haven there, ask our security. Seventh tweet. He says, Nepal, after 17 years, is getting prime ministerial visits and a swathe of development projects, power, fuel, housing, hospital, roads, etc. Ask their citizens. Eighth tweet. He says, Bhutan finds a stronger security and development partner, and unlike 2013, they don't worry about their cooking gas, ask their households. Ninth tweet on Afghanistan. Afghanistan sees completed projects, Salma Dam Parliament, expanded training and serious connectivity, ask the Afghan street. And the 10th and last tweet on Pakistan, he says, which you skip, surely know the difference between Balakot and Uri on the one hand, and Sharm el-Sheikh, Havana and 2611 on the other, ask yourself. Right, let's move to 20th July, 10 in the morning. Rahul Gandhi puts up another tweet, a second video. It's titled China's Strategic Game Plan. Now in that tweet, Rahul Gandhi says the Chinese used the border issue to put pressure on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now he tweets, the Prime Minister fabricated a fake strongman image to come to power. It was his biggest strength. It is now India's biggest weakness. Now the same day, within just 3 hours, JP Nadda at 1:33 p.m. puts out a series of tweets. The first tweet says, we saw yet another failed edition of Project RG relaunched today. Rahul Gandhi was, as usual, weak on facts and strong on mudslinging. Attempts to politicize defense and foreign policy matters shows one dynasty's desperation to wash their past sins of 1962 and weaken India. The second tweet, this is the second tweet here. Since the 50s, China has made strategic investments in one dynasty that has given them rich dividends. Remember 62, giving away of a UNSC seat, losing a lot of land and to China in the UPA years. MOU signed with much fanfare in 2008, funds to RGF and more. Coming up is the third tweet put out by the BJP president. He says, in recent years, be it Doklam or the present, Rahul Gandhi prefers briefings from the Chinese instead of believing in India's armed forces. Why does one dynasty want a weak India and a strong China? Many leaders in Congress also disapprove of one dynasty's shenanigans. And the fourth and last tweet reads, for years, one dynasty has been trying to destroy PM Narendra Modi. Sadly for them, PM Modi's connect with 130 crore Indians is deep-rooted. He lives and works for them. Those who want to destroy him will end up only further destroying their own party, unquote. All right, so those were the tweets between the BJP and the Congress. Time for a very short break. When we come back, we'll have our guests over for a discussion in our In Focus segment. Keep watching Newsnight. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. You're watching Newsnight on DD News and DD India. Time now for our In Focus segment, in which we discuss about dynasty first versus nation first. Yes, dynasty first versus nation first. Joining me are three very special guests: Ashok Tandon, R. Rajagopalan, and Harsh Pant. Mr. Tandon and Mr. Rajagopalan are veteran journalists of repute. Mr. Tandon served as media advisor to late PM Atal Bihari Vajpayee as well. And Professor Pant is Director Studies and the Director of the Strategic Studies Program at the Observer Research Foundation, a think tank based in New Delhi. Gentlemen, welcome to Newsnight. If I can come to you first, Mr. Tandon, your thoughts. You've served in the PMO. Should the PMO at all react to those allegations leveled by Rahul Gandhi, and how did you find JP Nadda's and the spokesperson's refutation of those allegations earlier this afternoon?
I think Mr. JP Nadda has very rightly hit the nail on it by saying that all these rhetoric by Rahul Gandhi is a failed attempt to relaunch him as the Congress president.
Right.
So that is why, after a very point-by-point rebuttal of the allegations as far as the merit of the issue is concerned, were given by the very aptly given by a very articulate External Affairs Minister of India, Mr. Jaishankar, it was realized by the BJP that the war is not really on the merits of the issue, but it is more a political battle. So therefore, the BJP decided to field its political heavyweights. Leading from the front is the president of the BJP, Mr. JP Nadda, and other general secretary. See, the real issue is that it is certainly an attempt within the Congress to relaunch Gandhi as the Congress president. Now, one would wonder how come that many veterans who have been in the government of UPA 1 and UPA 2 are maintaining a steady side. Why only Mr. Rahul Gandhi is taking on this issue? Because the idea is that since he failed in his term as working president, there is a move to install him as the president. So therefore, he is issuing 2 minutes videos almost on a daily basis. But let me take you back to the last Congress Working Committee meeting, in which he was, in fact, questioned for the way he has been attacking the Prime Minister personally. And there were no supporters for Rahul Gandhi. And in fact, many senior leaders in the Congress advised him that he should not be using such derogatory terms or personal attack against the Prime Minister, because it invariably boomerangs. And it was only Priyanka Gandhi who came to his rescue. And he said, well, if the party decides I should not be taking on the Prime Minister, I won't. But then he said, no, I am the only one who is attacking the Prime Minister. No other Congress leader is attacking the Prime Minister. So I think the entire issue is political. And there is a move to reinstall Rahul Gandhi as Congress president. And he wants to project his image as if he can take on the Prime Minister on foreign affairs. I don't know who has advised him to take on the Prime Minister on external affairs or the foreign affairs and diplomatic front, especially at a time when Prime Minister has already acquired a global image. He is ranked among the top 5 leaders, and there is no, at least, discordance within any other non-Congress opposition party. Nobody is questioning the Prime Minister's handling of the foreign affairs, or for that matter, the standoff with China. It is only within the Congress also. I can understand if it was Dr. Manmohan Singh taking on the Prime Minister on this issue, or even the present President Sonia Gandhi doing. It is only Rahul without any support from any Congress quarter. So that shows he is trying to re-establish himself, that he can deliver within the Congress party. So the move to call him Congress Working Committee. So Mr. Nadda has very rightly said that yet another failed attempt to install him or re-establish him or state him as a Congress veteran leader. So I think without going into the merits of this issue, because the whole world knows the merit, it's basically a question which is related only to the domestic politics of the India and also the internal politics of the Congress party, because there are still doubts in the minds of many Congress leaders whether should be reinstated as the president or whether he can deliver, whether he can lead the party from the front, whether he can win the election. So within all these question marks, Rahul is trying to project himself as a leader who knows the foreign policy. So therefore he can take on the government or for that matter, the prime minister on the foreign policy issues. But as I fully agree with President, BJP President Mr. Nadda, that it is yet another failed attempt to install him as Congress president, or rather a successful leader who can deliver in the Congress party.
Sure. Fair point. Mr. Rajagopalan, Project RG relaunch, a complete failure. It's backfired on him and the party?
Mr. Rahul Gandhi has been a member of parliament for 15 years now.
Right.
He has not learnt anything, Ramesh. My understanding is on when he said on Rafale on the floor of the House, that was disproved by the French president. When he called Prime Minister Chaukidar Chore, he apologized before the Supreme Court. When he went to Chinese embassy and he said that he did not meet the Chinese ambassador, later he has to say apology. Therefore, he has not been speaking the untruths. I don't say lie. I'm not calling him as a liar, but at the same time, he did not speak the truth. Today, you explained very well. Congratulations to the time this DD Doordarshan's the package you have done. All 10 tweets you have put it. All 10 tweets of Mr. Jaishankar, Foreign Minister, you have put it. And also Mr. JP Nadda's. What is the driving home point of Mr. Nadda's tweet? I want to explain. It is purely a political one.
Sure.
My understanding, Ramesh, are you hearing me?
Yeah, please carry on.
My understanding, Ramesh, the point is Mr. Rahul Gandhi has been saying only the lies. Simply, the reason being, he has been withdrawn, the government has withdrawn the SPG from him. That is one anger against the government. Today, Rajasthan fiasco, which he has failed to convince Sachin Pilot or convince Ashok Gehlot. Ashok Gehlot is going to form a regional party. Third point is, in the China one, it is boomeranging on him because whatever the public perception about Rahul Gandhi has been, that he has been misleading the country with a negative impression. He is not leader of opposition, but he is leader of negative things. But at the same time, the real leader of opposition, Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, has tweeted, you remember last month, that tweet was withdrawn, that tweet was deleted. So why? These are all certain things, internal contradiction in Congress, especially between mother, son and the daughter. That is why the China is now, they are creating a bogey, so that the real issue of their Rajiv Gandhi Foundation scam and also the fiasco in Rajasthan, these things will come out. That is the reason why Rahul Gandhi is attacking the Prime Minister. I said, surrender Modi. Today he says fake Modi. These are all certain things out of frustration, out of vituperative politics, out of, a revengeful politics. Mr. Rahul Gandhi is not an opposition leader. He is a revengeful leader. He is a speaker, the department of lies only. He does not say anything truth. Therefore, Mr. Nadda, what he has tweeted today, and I also agree with Mr. Nadda, he has said the right thing. Apart from that, Ramesh, I want to say one final comment, that the Prime Minister's popularity in India is at the peak, at the high. Much before the 2014 mandate, he got 2019 mandate, massive mandate. And now, whichever the private channels you take or the opinion polls, COVID, Corona, Prime Minister, handled it very well. China, he has handled it very well. The public perception is for Narendra Modi and the negative politician, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who tore out an ordinance of the President of India. Now he speaks about China. Very, very, I am sympathetic towards the Grand Old Party. It is going from existential crisis to crisis. As Mr. Jairam Ramesh put it, Congress is in ICU.
Right, so as Mr. Rajagopalan said, the Congress is in ICU. It's stumbling from one crisis to another. Professor Pant, if I can come to you now, you're the foreign policy expert on this panel tonight on Newsnight. What did you make of the allegations and the clarifications issued by Minister Jaishankar and the BJP president? In particular, Rahul Gandhi seems to be asking, why did China choose this moment in time for the face-off in Ladakh? Now, some would say it is Prime Minister Modi's infrastructure development push at the LAC that has completely unnerved the Chinese. Your thoughts, Professor Pant?
See, I think there is absolutely no doubt that in the last few years, India has stood up to China like it has never done in the last 2 decades. And the result is that India is now speaking out, as I think the Foreign Minister Jaishankar candidly wrote in his tweets, that look, if you look at Indian behavior towards China, India has stood up on every single issue. India remains the only country that stood up to China on BRI, despite the fact that there was a danger of being isolated. Our friends told us, don't do that, you will be isolated. India stood up and challenged China on that. India stood up to China on Doklam. India has stood up to China when it comes to its operational foreign policy in the Indo-Pacific. Despite China complaining about the Indo-Pacific, India brought Indo-Pacific narrative and India made Indo-Pacific narrative the common, the parlance of contemporary diplomacy. There is no doubt about it. So clearly, I think if you look at the larger engagement with China, if you look at the larger engagement, strategic engagement with China, India has stood up to China. India has made it very clear what its red lines are. And India has also made it very clear that it is willing to work with China under certain circumstances. So if you want to work with China under the Wuhan spirit, it is very welcome to do it. But if you challenge India, then India will respond. And the fact that you had infrastructure development happening at such a spectacular pace in Jammu and Kashmir over the last 4 or 5 years, the result is that China is completely unnerved by what India is doing in terms of changing the ground realities. And it is perhaps for the first time that you are witnessing China reacting to India. You see, there have always been complaints that India has a very reactive foreign policy. That India reacts to what other countries do. This is the time when you are witnessing China reacting to what India has been doing and in the last 4 to 5 years, and how proactively India is shaping the boundary environment in Kashmir and in Ladakh in particular. So clearly for Indian politicians to make this a spectacle in terms of divisions in India is quite unbecoming, I think, of India as a democracy. All democracies should have healthy debates on foreign policy like other policies. But to make it about personalities, to make it about individuals, to make it so partisan that you cannot have a debate, a discussion on the merits and demerits of a particular policy is very unfortunate. And Mr. Rahul Gandhi has not done this for the first time. You may recall he raised this issue of Rafale, very, very vividly, despite knowing very well that India needed the capacity that Rafale was bringing to the fore. And look at the situation today in the LAC with Rafale and other procurements that India has done. India can stand up to China in some way. So clearly one has to recognize what India is doing. One has to make it part of one's own foreign policy discourse. And for Congress party and for Mr. Gandhi to believe that somehow by disparaging the Prime Minister, he can get away with it, I think is also very unfortunate. This sense of, commenting very, casually about very, very important matters. What kind of an image he's projecting to China? That this is a country that even on an issue where China is on our borders can't be united just because one individual wants to have certain posts in his own political party and one wants to launch himself time and time again. I think what we are looking at is quite unbecoming spectacle of a grand old party in this country. And Congress and Mr. Gandhi should be realizing that I think there are better ways of achieving what perhaps they are trying to achieve. There are better ways of engaging in public policy discourse. There are better ways of engaging and countering the ruling party's policies. But this is not the way to go about it. When you have a crisis on the border, when China is looking at every opportunity to forward its national interest, when China is trying to see what vulnerabilities are there in the internal system, and this must be pointed out. In every country that China is dealing with today, it is looking at internal vulnerabilities. Wherever the country is weak, they try to create fissures. And if India goes down that route, it will be very, very unfortunate. And Mr. Gandhi is giving no sense that he is under control, that he knows what the kind of stakes there are. And so I think as someone that is observing it from outside, it shows a complete lack of maturity from Mr. Gandhi's part, and a certain sense that I think partisan politics in this country of the kind that we have been practicing, of the kind that targets Mr. Modi directly time and time again, has to go if this country has to evolve a foreign policy, public policy culture that is more mature, that behoves India as a major democracy in the world.
All right, point taken. I'm running out of time, gentlemen. Very quickly, one last question to all three of my guests, starting with you, Mr. Tandon. Now, the government says we are having a proactive diplomacy with strong ground posturing. And as Professor Pant pointed out, India is no longer a reactive diplomacy. India is proactively pursuing its interests. But what did you make of the decision of the Congress party and Rahul Gandhi in particular to target foreign policy and the fact that the frontal attack on Prime Minister Modi will have diminishing returns as we go forward? Your thoughts, Mr. Tandon, and then Mr. Rajagopalan.
Mr. Nadda has very rightly said that it's an attempt to politicize India's foreign policy.
Right.
Over the last 7 decades, India's foreign policy has been a policy of national consensus, which practically all governments have done in the past.
True.
And this is exactly what Prime Minister Modi has been doing. So he convened an all-party meeting where even leaders like Sharad Pawar agreed with the government. The Trinamool Congress also is keeping quiet. All political parties are in favor of a national consensus on issues like this.
Right.
But fortunately, it is only Mr. Rahul Gandhi who is trying to politicize it. I want to ask him if at all he has reservations about India's handling of the foreign policy, for that matter, the China issue. He should be convening an all-party meeting, an opposition meeting. In fact, he is not in a position to convene a meeting of all opposition. And for that, even Sonia Gandhi has to come forward and convene a meeting. Tomorrow, what will happen? If he is installed as the Congress president, will other opposition parties come under his banner for an opposition meet, which I doubt. So therefore, if at all he has a reservation, he should try to evolve a consensus among non-BJP or all other opposition parties, which he will fail. And who will help him? Not a single leader has come in support of him. Leave aside the opposition ranks, even within the Congress rank. So I think his attempt to himself as the prospective Congress president, I think it is going to boomerang, and it is for the Congress party.
It will boomerang on the Congress party, said Mr. Tandon.
And I think they need to ponder over it.
Mr. Tandon, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm running out of time. So very quickly, if I can go across to Mr. Rajagopalan and Professor Pant. Mr. Rajagopalan, the law of diminishing returns is kicking in. The more you attack Prime Minister Modi frontally, the more it backfires on the Congress party and Rahul Gandhi in particular.
It will boomerang on Congress. You wait and watch, Mr. Ramesh.
Right.
In 2024, Congress will not get the same 42 or 44 seats. It will go diminishing. What Mr. Tandon said is absolutely correct. Politically, Mr. Narendra Modi has been doing very well. Narendra Modi has made China to have a bloody nose on their face, especially on foreign policy. Mr. Jaishankar on defense policy, Mr. Rajnath Singh have been giving Narendra Modi a powerful support. So therefore, I see the negative politician in Rahul Gandhi's mindset.
Right.
I feel that Rahul Gandhi should learn lessons from Mr. Narendra Modi and do not call him as a chore or a thief or a surrender person. Beware of your words.
Beware of your words. That's the comment from one of my guests. I want to thank on that note Mr. Ashok Tandon, Mr. Rajagopalan and Professor Pant for joining us on News Night. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Right, moving on, the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in New Delhi on Monday began human trials of the indigenously developed COVID-19 vaccine candidate called Covaxin. Thousands of people had contacted the institute, but only 100 volunteers between the ages of 18 and 55 were selected for the trials. Here's a detailed report.
For human trials process, the registration for testing of Covaxin has started at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIIMS, Delhi. AIIMS Professor Dr. Sanjay Rai has been appointed as the chief investigator for conducting these tests. Over 2,000 people have contacted AIIMS for the human trial. AIIMS Director Randeep Guleria gave detailed information about the trial of the 3 phases at a press conference. Total number of 1,125 people will be vaccinated in the first 2 phases. In the first phase, trials will be done on 375 people and 18 to 55 years of age will be part of the crucial trials. Healthy participants with no comorbidities and without a history of COVID-19 will be selected.
Phase 1, it has to be done in healthy people between the age of 18 and 55 years. तो 18 साल से 55 साल की उम्र में जो हेल्दी हैं, जिनको कोई कोमॉर्बिडिटीज़ नहीं है, टोटल सैंपल जो इनिशियली है ट्रायल का सारे सेंटर्स को मिला के वो 1125 हेल्दी वॉलंटियर्स का है, जिसमें से 375 जो हैं वो फेज़ 1 में स्टडी किए जाएंगे। एम्स दिल्ली में 100 हेल्दी वॉलंटियर्स रिक्रूट किए जाएंगे।
In second phase, 750 people between age 12 to 65 will be part of Covaxin trial. At the same time, a large number of people will be trialed in which the immunity developed in people will be tested. The AIIMS director said that in the first phase, the side effects of the vaccine would be monitored for 28 days and regular care would be taken for 3 months.
फेज़ 2 में जो है उसमें हम 750 लोग रिक्रूट करेंगे और इसकी एज लिमिट थोड़ी ज़्यादा है, 12 साल से लेके 65 साल तक। ये फेज़ 2 स्टडी है और इसमें वैक्सीन के 3 फॉर्मुलेशंस ट्राई किए जाएंगे। दैट इज़ फॉलोड सब्सिक्वेंटली बाय फेज़ 3, जिसमें लार्जर पॉपुलेशन के साथ किया जाता है टू सी कि उसकी एफिकेसी और थेरेपेटिक बेनिफिट कितना दे रही है। वी फाइंड दैट इट इज़ सेफ, इट इज़ इम्यूनोजेनिक and we have no issues of side effects, and the report suggests that it is good. If that is there, then I think in the next 2 to 3 months we should be able to have a result. But remember, you have to follow up these patients. So even when you give the injection, to look for side effects, the follow-up is for 28 days.
As COVID-19 is new virus, so there are many possibilities regarding the effect of this vaccine. AIIMS director said that this vaccine will provide immunity at least 1 to 2 years.
The virus is only 6-7 months old. The vaccine, the virus is a new virus, so I think it's difficult to predict, but I'm hopeful that the vaccine will give immunity at least for more than 1 to 2 years.
AIIMS Director Dr. Guleria expressed happiness that India is making its own vaccine. India lags behind developed countries in research and development in the field of medicine. In such crucial time, if Covaxin for coronavirus pandemic becomes successful, it will be a big achievement for India in the field of R&D. With inputs from Nitendra Singh, News Night Desk, DD India.
And talking about COVID-19 vaccine research, AstraZeneca's experimental COVID-19 vaccine was safe and produced an immune response in early stage clinical trials in healthy volunteers, data showed on Monday. According to trial results published by the Lancet Medical Journal, the vaccine called AZD1222 and being developed by AstraZeneca and scientists at Britain's University of Oxford did not prompt any serious side effects and elicited antibody and T-cell immune responses. The study's lead author Andrew Pollard of the Oxford University said he hoped the vaccine would protect people for extended periods, but that more research was needed to confirm its efficacy and determine how long any protection lasts. Now, a 3-member team of officials from New Delhi visited Gaya in Bihar on Monday to take stock of the COVID-19 situation there. The Bihar government had said on Sunday that 8 testing centers have become operational in Gaya, where on-demand COVID-19 testing is available free of cost. Meanwhile, the flood situation remains grim in some parts of India. Floodwaters and heavy rains have disrupted life in many states. Take a look at the next report.
Several states in India are battling monsoon mayhem. In the Pithoragarh district of Uttarakhand, water level of Gauri and Kali rivers have increased due to heavy rainfall. Cloudburst and heavy rains wreaked havoc in 2 villages of Pithoragarh district, leaving 3 people dead and 11 reportedly missing. Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat directed the district magistrate to ensure prompt rescue and relief operations. Chief Minister also directed the DM to give financial assistance to the victims. 2 teams of SDRF are carrying rescue and relief operations. MET department has issued red and orange alerts in the state for Tuesday and Wednesday. Heavy rainfall has also been predicted in many areas of Jammu and Kashmir due to western monsoon. The MET department has also predicted heavy rainfall in Himachal, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana. In Assam, over 24 lakh people in 24 districts are affected by floods. 85 people have also lost their lives. And that's not all. 26 people have also died in landslides in various parts of the state. As a result, the death toll has reached 111.
Government of Assam, with the support of the Government of India, we are extending our wholehearted support. We are trying to provide them best possible quality food item to those flood affected victims, and also we are releasing within 48 hours ex gratia to those people who have lost their life in landslide and flood. So this is the way we are tackling the issue, and particularly I am grateful to the people of Assam that whatever they have shown their guts and courage and determination. This is great.
The situation in Bihar is also grim due to heavy rains and increasing water levels in rivers. Bhanga, Sita, and Muzaffarpur district of North Bihar are badly affected. 3 lakh people from 8 districts of the state are affected by the flood fury. Meanwhile, urban areas including Patna are facing the problem of waterlogging at a larger scale. Bureau Report, DD India.
Moving on, the Supreme Court on Monday asked the Uttar Pradesh government to consider adding a former Supreme Court judge and a retired police officer to an inquiry committee that is looking into the encounter of gangster Vikas Dubey. The top court said it was appalled that the gangster got bail despite so many cases against him. A bench headed by Chief Justice S.A. Bobde heard a batch of pleas seeking a court-monitored probe into the encounters of Dubey and his alleged associates. The court told the UP government that it has to uphold rule of law. The Supreme Court on Monday dismissed petitions seeking protection of artifacts around the Ram Janmabhoomi site. The public interest litigation petitions had sought the digging up of the Ram Janmabhoomi site and protection of artifacts. The Supreme Court called the petitions frivolous and imposed a fine of 1 lakh rupees each on 2 petitioners. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic brought the world to a standstill. Everything, including academics, came to a sudden halt. But slowly, the situation is improving. Universities are adjusting to the new normal. One such example is Jawaharlal Nehru University, one of India's prestigious universities. Now, during the lockdown, the JNU entrance exams were postponed. The deadline was extended many times to give students a chance to apply. The JNU received a record number of applications this year. The maximum number of applications were received for the master's program, followed by PhD and bachelor programs. A large number of applications were also received for MA Political Science, MSc Life Sciences, MCA, MA Geography and MSc Physics. For the first time, JNU will be admitting students to an integrated BSc and MSc program in Ayurveda Biology, for which a large number of applications have been received.
This is the second year that JNU is conducting its computer-based entrance examination in collaboration with the National Testing Agency. I am very happy to announce that JNU has received a record number of applications this year for its different academic programs of study. For JNU entrance examination 2020, a record of 1,35,462 applications were registered. This year we have also seen a large improvement in the gender representation as well as the representation of students from different social categories of our country.
Political uncertainty in Rajasthan continues. The hearing on the petition filed by dissident Congress legislators on the notice given by the Assembly Speaker has been postponed till 10:30 tomorrow morning. That's on Tuesday. Senior advocate Harish Salvi, representing Sachin Pilot and 18 other MLAs, said that the rebel MLAs are not demanding changing the government or its fall. They just want change of the Chief Minister. They've questioned the notice of the Speaker, challenging its legality. He said Assembly Speaker's notice on absence from Legislative Party meeting outside the Assembly has no validity.
सालवे साहब ने अपने आर्ग्यूमेंट पूरे कर लिए हैं. अब मिस्टर रौदगी को आर्ग्यू करना है, सो कोर्ट अभी कंटिन्यू करेंगे कल 10:30 बजे सुबह. 10:30 बजे मिस्टर रॉदगी विड आर्ग्यू एंड उसके बाद जो एप्लीकेंट्स ने एप्लीकेशन लगाई उन पे सुनवाई होगी और फिर किसी को सर रिजॉइंडर पे अपने अगर बहस करनी होगी तो वो अपॉर्चुनिटी दे करके कल होपफुली आर्ग्यूमेंट कंक्लूड हो जाएगा। सालवे सर की बहस पे वही रिट्रेशन है कि कोर्ट के पास पावर है वापस से 10(1)(a अगर असंवैधानिक है तो उसको रिविजिट करके हाई कोर्ट पूरी तरह से एम्पावर्ड है उस पर ऑर्डर पास करने के लिए। और फ्लोर क्रॉसिंग पे उन्होंने आर्ग्यूमेंट किए कि क्या इसको फ्लोर क्रॉसिंग माना जाए या नहीं माना जाए और जो स्पीकर के द्वारा कार्रवाई की गई है वो गलत की गई।
With an aim to boost Make in India initiative of the Government of India with the approval of Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh, the acquisition wing of the Defence Ministry has today signed a contract with Messrs Bharat Earth Movers Limited for procurement of 1,512 mine plows or tank T90 at an approximate cost of 557 crore rupees. The contract has buy and make Indian categorization with a minimum of 50% indigenous content in make portion of the contract. Now, these mine plows will be fitted on T90 tanks of Indian Armoured Corps, which will facilitate individual mobility to tanks while negotiating a minefield. The mobility will enhance manifold, which in turn would extend the reach of armoured formation deep into enemy territory without becoming a mine causality. Now, with the induction of these mine plows planned to be completed by 2027, the combat capability of the army will be further enhanced. Right, moving on, Prime Minister Modi wants to double farmers' income by 2022 and therefore a number of farming related announcements are being made by the central government. Farmers express their happiness as they will enjoy freedom of choice in regard to procurement and sales across the country, which facilitates discovery of the most remunerative prices.
मैं एक किसान होने के नाते मैं सारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का धन्यवाद करता हूं, जिन्होंने जो काफ़ी समय से किसानों की जो पुरानी डिमांड थी कि किसान किसी भी जगह पे फसल बेच सकता है, वो उन्होंने मांग को पूरा किया है।
हमारी फसल को बार्डर में रोक लिया जाता था, हुण असी हमारी फसल जिथे भी हमको रेट मिलेगा उत्थे हम बेच सकते हैं। मोदी सरकार ने जो ये कदम जो साड़ा MSP तक को खत्म नहीं किया तो जो असी अपनी फसल का मन मर्जी के साथ रेट किसी भी स्टेट में ले सकते हैं।
जो मोदी सरकार ने आर्डिनेंस जारी किया है ये बहुत बढ़िया आर्डिनेंस है, किसान इससे बहुत खुशहाल होएगा।
MSP बरकरार रहेगा और जहां किसान को अच्छा रेट मिलेगा वहां बेच सकता है, तो ये बहुत बढ़िया फैसला है मोदी सरकार का। किसानों की जो आमदनी दुगनी हो जाएगी।
All right, take a look at what else is making news around India in our national wrap.
Special Operations Group of Jammu Police and Army have busted a terror funding module of the Lashkar-e-Taiba in Jammu. According to police spokesperson, banned terrorist organization Lashkar-e-Taiba LET had activated a module of its members for carrying out terror activities in Jammu and Kashmir. Particularly, it had been tasked by the handlers to visit Jammu and collect a consignment of Hawala money for further use by the terrorists and their supporters. During the search, one bag containing 1.5 lakh rupees was recovered, which was concealed in a tiffin box. Initial questioning revealed that the money was sent by Harun, self-styled commander of LET from Pakistan, to be delivered to the terrorists through their overground workers in Doda. 15 days after the Vikas Dubey encounter, two of his close aides, Jaykant Vajpayee and Prashant Shukla, have been arrested by the UP police for their alleged involvement in Kanpur encounter, in which 8 police personnel were killed. Delhi police has filed another complaint against Khalistan terrorist Gurpatwant Singh Pannu. Terrorist Pannu, accused of inciting Sikhs. A video was also released by terrorist Pannu. After that, a case has been filed against him in Delhi. August 15 is near, so all security agencies are also fully cautious about this. In a major development in the Tuticorin custodial death case, a Madurai court has sent 3 police officials, Srila Durai, Samathurai and Vahil Muthu, to 3 days in CBI custody. A CBI team reached Madurai on July 9th to take over the probe into the death of the father-son duo in the Sathankulam police station on June 19. Earlier, the Tamilnadu CBCID had arrested 10 police and charged them with murder before they were remanded to judicial custody. Later, Chief Minister Palani handed over the case to the CBI. The National Investigation Agency and the Maharashtra government today sought time at the Mumbai High Court to reply to the interim medical bail filed by poet P. Varvara Rao, 81 years old, admitted at Nanavati Hospital. A division bench of Justices S.S. Shinde and S.P. Tabade was hearing a criminal appeal filed on behalf of Rao, accused in the Bhima Koregaon case. It is an appeal against rejection of his entry medical bail by Sessions Court. The court adjourned to be heard on July 23rd. Meanwhile, the same bench also directed the state and NIA to file their replies on petition filed by Rao against prison authorities seeking directions against them to submit detailed report along with medical papers of the treatment and a course of action followed by them post the hurried discharge of Rao from JJ Hospital on June 2nd, 2020. Indian Navy units undertook passage exercise with units of US Navy Nimitz Korea Strike Group as they transit through Indian Ocean region. USS Nimitz is on its way from South China Sea to deployment in the Middle East. BJP has announced a new state presidents for Gujarat and Ladakh. Party President JP Nadda has announced C.R. Patil and Jamyang Tshering Namgyal, both Lok Sabha MPs, as presidents of BJP Gujarat and Ladakh units respectively. In Puducherry Legislative Assembly, the opposition parties NR Congress, AIADMK and BJP members staged a walkout in the House opposing Chief Minister Narayanasamy presenting the budget without the Lieutenant Governor's address. Earlier, Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry Kiran Bedi refused to deliver her customary address of the budget session in the Legislative Assembly, saying Chief Minister V. Narayanasamy did not send her the annual financial statement and demand for grants meant to be presented in the House. Minister of State for Power and New and Renewable Energy R.K. Singh inaugurated a charging hub of electrical vehicles, a project completed through public-private partnership. He also introduced equipment operated by private companies to reduce air pollution.
Now, days after a report claimed that Iran has dropped India from the Chabahar rail project, Iran on Monday denied the report, blaming vested interests behind it and reassured India's active participation in the mega project. Iran's Deputy Minister of Transport and Railways, Saeed Rasooli, said that vested interests were behind those reports. Earlier on Monday, the Iranian minister invited the Indian ambassador to Iran, Gaddam Dharmendra, to review ongoing cooperation on the Chabahar-Zaidan railway project. Last week, the Ministry of External Affairs has said that despite the difficulties posed by the sanctions situation, there has been significant progress on the Chabahar port project. The Indian company has been operating the port since 2018 and has steadily scaled up the traffic at the port. Proactive measures are currently underway to increase the usage of Chabahar port, both for Afghanistan and Central Asia. All right, joining me is my colleague Abhishek Jha for more on this story. Abhishek, good to have you on Newsnight. Now, there was some confusion about India's participation in the Chabahar port and the railway project. Have those confusions and speculations now been put to rest?
Of course, Ramesh.
Right.
We know that almost 2 weeks ago, the report came that Iran has started laying out the railway lines on Chabahar-Zaidan project. And then it was speculated, since no reaction came from that side, that okay, there might be some reports, whether India is included or not. That this story was fueled by certain media reports in Indian media also. Then some Iranian media also quoted some unidentified sources from Iranian side. But so far, no official source, either from India or Iran, had commented on this story. We only got this Indian MEA reaction on last week when India said that this whole speculation is wrong and India is very much part of it. And there are continuous process of inspection and review going on, and we are awaiting an appointment of a nodal authority from Iranian side. And now when Iranian Deputy Minister of Transport and Rail has also commented on this, that India is very much part of it, and there are vested interests behind those media speculation, then one must put to rest all the rumor and speculation between Iran and Indian friendship and relation that has been bringing on in the last 2 weeks.
Abhishek, very quickly help our viewers understand, why is the Chabahar port and the Chabahar-Zaidan railway line so important for India and the region at large, including Iran and Afghanistan?
Okay, Ramesh, for two reasons. First, that it would be a very strategic commercial interest, serving India's commercial interest, to enter Iran, but through Iran to the other Central Asian countries like Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, and also since our trade via Pakistan to Afghanistan is very much, prohibited because of certain political and other dynamics. So trade to Afghanistan will be facilitated through this Chabahar port, where India is helping to lay that Chabahar Zaidan road, railroad, which will be further put across to Afghanistan on Zanjar region. So this will be a master game changer in India's commercial interest in Central Asia, Iran and Afghanistan.
Absolutely. On that note, Abhishek Jha, thank you so much for bringing our viewers with the latest news on the India-Iran front. Appreciate it. Right, time now for international news in our World Wrap segment.
Chinese scientists are ready for the launch of China's first Mars exploration mission after completing multiple integrated rehearsals recently, an official of the mission said. Known as Tianwen-1, the first Mars probe of China is scheduled in late July or early August, according to the China National Space Administration. In a recent interview with the state broadcaster China's Central Television, Zhang Yu, deputy director of the Mars probe, said that scientists have conducted joint tests on multiple systems of the Mars mission at all levels and ready for the launch. Compared with the mission to the moon, the Mars mission is more difficult and full of challenges, as the probe would take nearly 7 months to land on Mars. North Korea's leader has sacked officials building a hospital after they pressed the public for contributions, media reported. The country's state-run television KRT on Monday aired a video footage of leader Kim Jong-un visiting a construction site of the Pyongyang General Hospital. During his latest visit to the site, Kim fired a group of project managers called the Construction Coordination Commission for failing to allocate a proper budget and supplying equipment and materials from ordinary citizens. Leader Kim ordered the Pyongyang General Hospital to be built by the 75th anniversary of the founding of the ruling Workers' Party in October, calling it a top priority in improving public health in the face of the novel coronavirus. Russian President Vladimir Putin named a new acting governor to head Russia's far eastern region of Khabarovsk on Monday after the previous regional head was arrested on murder charges, sparking a wave of protest. At least 10,000 people demonstrated in Khabarovsk on Saturday to demand Moscow release Sergei Fergal, a member of the ultra-nationalist Liberal Democratic Party. Fergal was detained on July 9th and flown to Moscow to face charges over the murder and attempted murder of multiple businessmen 15 years ago. He denies wrongdoing. Protests broke out soon afterwards and have continued for over a week. Putin on Monday formally removed Fergal from his post and appointed Mikhail Degtyaryov, 39, a lawmaker and also an LDPR member, to take over as the acting head of the region. French President Emmanuel Macron said on Monday he was hopeful a compromise could be reached over a European Union recovery plan. Macron also said that talks had advanced in the EU summit. Macron made the comment as he arrived for the fourth day of the summit. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said extraordinary situations also require extraordinary efforts and hoped the remaining issues to close the deal would be solved soon. After 3 days of haggling over a plan to revive economies throttled by the COVID-19 pandemic, European Council President Charles Michel is expected to put forward a new basis for a deal to bridge the competing demands of North and Southern Europe.
All right, to sports now. The International Cricket Council has confirmed the ICC Men's T20 World Cup in Australia has been postponed due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Cricket's apex body has held multiple meetings in the last few months in order to ascertain the best possible outcome, but came to the said conclusion in the latest one on Monday. The tournament was due to take place between 18th October and 15th November. The next Men's T20 World Cup is now scheduled to be held in October and November 2021, with another in 2022. The ICC has also announced that the 50-over Men's World Cup in 2023 in India will move from February, March to October, November. And the Ballon d'Or for the world's best players will not be awarded in 2020 because of a lack of sufficient fair conditions created by the coronavirus pandemic. The decision seems somewhat bizarre given that all of Europe's major football leagues except France have been able to complete their campaigns. Barcelona star Lionel Messi won a record 6th Ballon d'Or last year. taking him past rival Cristiano Ronaldo, who has 5 to his name. The cancellation of prestigious prize means Cristiano Ronaldo remains 1 behind Messi. The award was set up in '56 and is the most prestigious individual trophy in football. The Ballon d'Or is presided over by France Football, having been a FIFA award from 2010 to 2015. However, the two companies then split, and football's governing body created the FIFA The Best Award, which has run parallel to the Ballon d'Or since 2016. And that's a wrap on Newsnight. But news continues here on DD India and DD News. You can catch all the latest updates on our social media, mobile and digital platforms. Thanks for watching. Bye.